Right. All right, we are recording and we're ready to go. All right, cool. Okay, Mark, we have talked before. We've been, how long has it been since we've kind of been interacting? A year, 2 years, 10 years? I don't know. It seems like forever.
Probably a couple of years, I think, or close to it. Something like that.
I mean, it can't be any longer than I've been doing carnivore. So
yeah,
that's a 2.5, a little over 2.5 years. So
yeah, probably around that. That's right.
Cool.
Yeah.
And you tell us a little bit about yourself. You know, you're a man over 40.
A little bit more than that, yeah.
A little bit more than that.
51. I'll be 52 in March. Yeah.
Okay. And just tell us a little bit about just your. Initially, let's talk about your background. Were you're into health now, or you're a personal trainer? You do fitness for a living, and have you always been that way? Where did you start? Like, let's go back a little bit and kind of talk about where you were maybe 5-10 years ago before, what got you to this point.
Yeah, I'd always been into fitness, been into nutrition. My folks were always kind of into that, so that kind of was good. They were always, back in the 70s, if you took a vitamin or did anything like that, that was really odd. I mean, or doing anything health wise. And so I kind of had a background in that. I started martial arts when I was 10. So, staying fit, doing martial arts and boxing and different things like that, that was always important. Started lifting, didn't really know a whole lot about it. That's where I ran on to Perry Reader's information, and then I got in Arthur Jones and different things like that. Vince Gironda. So that was, early on. So I'd always had a background into health. Probably the biggest impact I had was my health was always good. I always stayed fit. And in 2009, that was the biggest turning point. I had a severe accident, sustained major injuries. We had a ice storm here that was just devastation to this whole area. Our farm, we have 200 acres, just down trees everywhere. So a lot of chainsawing, a lot of moving stuff. It was just constantly work at that point. And while cutting a tree, I needed to move it. Yeah. Thanks. So this is the problem. This is one of the points I always try to make to everybody. At that point, I would have been, early 40s. And, you still think you're as healthy as you are when you're 20, and you can still overdo it. And so I was doing the old heave-ho, throwing in the back of a truck, and I had a severe GI injury. I had a horrible hernia. It caused major damage, and long story short, I ended up having to have surgery. That was a low point. I was not able to work out. I got very depressed about it. Wasn't eating well. It's kind of an excuse, and it just went further and further and further. I lost confidence. Even when I was cleared to go back to lifting, the surgeon was a lifter, which he knew my background and everything. I was cleared to go back to lifting. I couldn't bring it back. I just couldn't. I had fear that I was going to rupture myself again. I was going to end up reversing some of the surgeries. It was a low point, and I was well overweight. The surgery, I actually put the surgery off until 2011. So I went through a lot of needless suffering and pain by not wanting a surgery. Nobody wants a surgery, but it fixed a lot of stuff sooner. And so I was probably about 60 pounds overweight after the surgery. Couldn't work out effectively, wasn't eating well. And it seems like, the old saying, when it rains, it pours. I think due to the weight gain, just the poor overall physical conditioning, my autoimmune issues, which I had already knew about, was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis, really kicked into full gear. And so I was getting to the point, I was having a hard time walking. My fingers were just swollen all the time. I was getting the turning that was going in. Also being overweight. I'd had plantar fasciitis, and it was horrible. That was getting worse. And I think this would have been in 2014. The low
Okay.
point is
Yeah.
2014. I'm trying to
Yeah.
make this as brief as possible too.
Right.
I was working on my farm. And if you have a farm, trust me, there's one reason there's a lot of accidents. It's a dangerous profession.
Yeah.
I
So,
had
okay.
taken
So
a farm.
you own a farm. So you're not
Yes.
just into fitness and doing that.
No.
You also own like a functioning, like, what do you do on the
Yes.
farm?
Yeah. We have over
Just a
200.
quick segue.
Yeah, we have over 200 acres. We have cows, horses, chickens. Yeah, it's just a farm that we have here, and
Okay.
we all work on it. So that's just a hobby.
Gotcha. That's just
When you have a farm, you have to work to pay for the farming. You know, that's kind of how it is. So you've got to
Gotcha.
work to
Okay.
pay to be a
Okay.
farmer.
So you're a
So
farmer and a personal trainer. All right.
yeah,
That's a resume. That's an awesome resume right there. I like it.
yeah. So I had suffered a severe concussion
Oh,
on top of
geez.
everything else. So that really set me back, and I even had some problems with my speech. It was a pretty severe concussion.
Yeah.
So, that was probably in August of 2014. Then in October of 2014, I was teaching a martial arts class, and again, overweight, not out of shape, is terrible, and we were going over it some Thai boxing. All I did was do a Thai kick, set my foot down, and my foot basically just collapsed from on there.
Mm-hmm.
Had a severe injury on that, and when I went to see the doctor, he was telling me, "Hey, this is what we're going to have to do. We're going to do this and this," and he was telling me different things that we need to do. And I just asked, I said, "Hey, if I drop some weight, that would definitely help, and maybe we won't have to have the surgery." He said, "Sure." So that is kind of the turning point that day.
Okay. So for
So
you, it was a culmination of a lot of things. From like in my story, for me, it was looking at how I felt, but it was that one picture. You've heard me tell that story, that one picture my daughter took of me sitting on the beach. And I literally
yes,
looked like a beach whale. In my eyes, I looked like a beach whale. And it was just
yes,
like a slap in the face, like, hey, I need to do that. And everybody's got a different thing or combination of things that kind of makes them go, hey, wait, I need to change something. There's something I need to do. For you, it was like the world was just beating you down, one thing after another after another. And it's interesting how the similarity between the two of our stories starts with the image we had of ourselves. You were doing things because the image you had of yourself was, I'm this fit person. I've been active my whole life. I'm 40, but I still feel in my head, I
mm-hmm.
see myself as this 20-year-old kid. And that was the same as me. For me, I saw that and I was like, that's not the picture I have. Who is this guy like walking around right now? Because that's not me. That's not who I want to be. So
Yeah,
the importance of being honest with yourself can prevent some bad things from happening, but also get you moving in the right direction. Cool. All right.
absolutely,
So what are some of the
absolutely.
things,
That's
yeah,
all.
good. I was gonna say, what are some of the
No, I
things
mean
that, I love that. I love that delay. What were you going to say? Go ahead.
no, it takes, for many, and for me and maybe yourself, it took hitting rock bottom. I mean,
Right.
I was at the lowest point. I just felt, okay, if I'm 40, early 40s, my health has declined this much. What is it going to be like in 10 years, 20 years? And having
Right.
older parents, having older relatives, you see decline. And, Dr. Doug McGuff, he always says you want to have your physiological headspace as high as possible. Because
Mm-hmm.
we're all going to have a decline, but if you start the decline here versus here, it's hugely different at that angle.
Well,
So I do that.
and also, if you're consistently doing something to fight that decline, you can stave it off. So it's not as steep, as much of a drop off a cliff
Absolutely.
as as a lot of people. One of the biggest frustrations I have with society today is the unspoken assumption that when you get old, you get weak.
Yeah.
And it's no, you get old and you get weak when you get old if you're not doing anything.
If you're not doing anything.
Right. And
look at this guy right here,
Doug
Doug
Holland,
Holland.
that dude is crazy,
Oh,
man.
good grief. This guy is getting stronger and stronger. I mean, it's just unreal. He'll be 69 here in a couple of months. Or I'm sorry, he'll be 60 in a couple of months, not 69. Yeah, yeah. Forgive me, Doug. And the guy is just amazing. It's just such a myth.
Absolutely, because it is more of a challenge.
If you're doing something.
Yeah, it is more of a challenge to gain muscle and maintain muscle and get stronger as you get older. That doesn't mean it's impossible. And just doing something to increase your chances of not being weak. I heard somebody say this years ago, and it never really clicked in my head, is that the cause of death for people over 60 isn't disease and illness, it's weakness.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? The lack of muscle mass, the lack of being able to do things, they get sick because they're weak. They get sick because they're not metabolically healthy. They get sick because they're not doing things to stay strong. If you have muscle and you are using that muscle, you're going to be much healthier for much longer.
Oh, yeah.
That drives me absolutely crazy, that whole concept of
I know.
Old people have to be weak. That's BS.
It is. Right. It is. So, it's totally not true.
So you decided, okay, I've got all these things going on. I need to make a change. Let's talk first about the physical stuff that you did. Like, did you change? So you said, I had to lose weight. I've got all these things going on. How did you change your physical activity, your fitness routine, whatever it is that you did, while still dealing with all these things? Because I know a lot of people are like, hey, how do I start working out? I got a bad back. How do I start working out? I've got this issue. I've got that issue. I can't do X, Y, or Z, but I know I need to do something. What do I do? How did you do that?
Well, at the point that October of 2014, when the foot was, all messed up, my ankle was messed up, I was in a cast, I couldn't do a lot of working out. And being overweight, that didn't help either. I went strict 100% carnivore. I had done that in the past. So I knew, and of course, this is a myth to everybody thinks, well, you've got to work out, crazy hard and all this. You got to, run and all this to lose weight. I mean, we know that you've got to focus on your eating, the primary thing. So that was the first thing I did, because I knew the workouts were not going to be, a whole lot without getting with the problems I had. So I worked on that to drop the weight down. After the weight had got down in January, the first part of January, I was still in a soft cast at that point. I went back to doing my HIT workouts. Was not doing much on the lower body. I mean, I love doing deadlifts, hex bar deadlifts, Romanian, stiff legs, squats. So that was kind of out of the question at that point. I couldn't put pressure on my foot. I mean, it was like walking on your eyeballs, basically, is how it felt. So, not a lot there. So I went ahead and focused on what I could do. And what I could do a full upper body workout. So, I was my goal at that point was trying to look like the classic bodybuilders in the 1950s, little stick legs. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
But anyway, I thought that was going to be the problem. But I could do some leg extensions, leg curls, so I would incorporate those in.
Okay.
So I went back to that. Walking was out. I couldn't really do any of that. Couldn't do any HIT or high intensity interval sprints or anything like that. So basically, just a upper body workout at that point. And it wasn't until March. I think I got the cast off in March, and hallelujah, I was doing deadlifts. And I mean, they're just like, I'm alive again. And they weren't anything epic, let me tell you. They were kind of, and the other problem I still had a problem here getting the intensity correct, because I was thinking, okay, I remember the accident. I remember what I did. And I even had a follow-up with my doctor who did the surgery. He said, Mark, you're fine. You know how to do a deadlift. You know how to do a squat. You know how to do those. You are fine. Right. But it took me a while to get over that fear of injuring myself again and thinking I'm going to have major surgery. Gotcha. So the confidence came. It just took a while to kind of work myself back into a routine. But it felt so good. And then, as you know, what will happen once you start seeing the results, and I got results quickly. I mean, it was amazing how quick the weight came off, the muscle was coming back on, the strength was increasing.
Mm-hmm.
And that just confidence builds more confidence.
Right.
And
Yeah. Builds
so,
on success.
yeah,
Yeah.
it does. And so I was seeing good feedback from looking in the mirror, seeing good feedback from my charts. I was seeing good feedback from how I feel. And so then the intensity was coming back. It was great. It was
What
really,
do you
2015 was a turning point year for myself.
Cool. That's awesome, man. Do you have, so you started and you took a little bit different tack than just jumping into something fitness wise. You're like, hey, in my nutrition, because I'm a little limited in my fitness, and what I can do, I need to kind of do both fitness and nutrition at the same time and see where I can make the most progress,
Yeah.
which is
Yes.
perfectly, I mean, that's awesome, right? Everyone has that different place. Some people like
Yeah.
don't even want to think about the nutrition. It seems too complicated. I just need to start doing some exercise. Other people are just like, exercise intimidates me. I'm going to start with my nutrition,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
So whatever, I think the message here is whatever you can get started with,
Do
get
it.
started with something, right? It doesn't,
Yes.
there's no right or wrong way. Moving forward is moving forward. All right.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Don't let an excuse or anything stop you. Do something that
Do
you
something.
can do.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's a big thing. I deal with clients a lot, and I'm sure you hear this too. They've got something going on and they come with, and the first thing they're thinking, because it's all up here,
Uh,
the first thing they say is, I can't do this. I can't do that. I can't do this. Just
Dude, I know
stop right there. Let's talk about, let's do some
what you
experimenting.
can
Let's
do.
walk through some stuff.
Mhm.
What can you do? And then we build a program and we build a way to move you forward from there.
Yeah, that's always frustrating. I always will hear, and like I said, I'm just repeating what you're saying.
Right.
You always hear what they can't do.
Yep.
So they always set these roadblocks and limits. And I go, let's don't focus on that. Let's focus on what we can do.
Right.
And then when they start smashing those barriers and they achieve that, it just keeps building and building. And they know, hey, I can do it.
Wait,
So yeah,
I'm doing something. What are you talking about? Holy crap.
that's exactly right. Exactly right.
So when you were doing your fitness stuff, did you set a goal? Like, I'm trying to get to a certain point? Or did you say, I just need to, my first goal is, I know for me, I've been through phases where it's like, my first goal is just, I need to find something and show up every day. Like, what was your progression there as far as goals?
Well, I'm always very goal oriented, and I think I try to take a different approach to it. Coming from maybe a powerlifting type background, and being very competitive, and hey, your buddy did this, you want to do better, you want
Yeah.
and I mean that's all good, but that's a good way to get injured.
Yes.
And I really started looking more at the long term. And so I kind of let some of those goals go out the window. And
Yep.
I know that maybe that sounds defeatist, but at that point, I wasn't trying to make a PR in my lifts.
Yeah.
Especially my deadlifts, where that could have hurt my injury again.
Right.
So I was just trying to get as functional in health as I could. I wanted to get back so I could do my martial arts effectively. I wanted to get back so I could roll on the ground, do the kickboxing, all of that, and just get my cardiovascular system back in shape. I mean, those may seem like minor things, but I wanted things that fit what I wanted. I wanted to, again, I saw some of my pictures when we were on vacation, and I was like, oh my goodness, that's not me. Who is
Right.
that?
Yep.
And because I'd always, had always been in shape. And then I was like, wow, I look terrible. And so when I could actually see my abs again, I was like, wow, that is amazing what I looked like just 6 months ago. So it was more how I felt, kind of how I was looking, and if you want to call it vanity, that's fine. I've had vanity motivate myself. I've had vanity get clients in the door, and then we work on health after the vanity got them there.
Absolutely. Vanity is not a bad motivator,
No,
right?
it's
Motivation
not.
technique or thing to use for motivation. The issue comes in when the tools and the program you put in place is vanity focused versus health focused.
That's
So
right.
a smart trainer, if you're looking for trainers, guys, listening to this, if you're looking for a program, if you're looking for a trainer, and you have that vanity goal, if you have that, I want a six pack, I want muscles, I want to look like
Mhm.
a beach body, whatever, that's
Yeah.
perfectly fine. What you want to do is you want to find a program that's going to help you get in shape,
Yes.
right? First, because when you're in shape, you will then look like you're in shape. If
Mhm.
you try to look like you're in shape before you're in shape, before you get healthy, then you're
Mhm.
going to be great physique, but the way you get there is not going to be conducive to metabolic health, mental health,
That's
um,
right.
a good relationship with food, a good understanding of what safe workouts and routines are, and you're going to be out of balance. So work on the health aspect from a fitness, nutrition, and mindset perspective, and then you will look like you're in shape. The looking like your shape will
Absolutely.
come. It just comes after health if you're doing it right.
That's right.
All right, so we got your fitness, we got I got some goals. What about your nutrition? You said something about this carnivore thing. What is carnivore?
Well, crazy. I mean, it's just absolutely nuts. Uh, you know, back when you were talking about when when I first started working out. Well, back in the early 80s, you didn't have the internet, didn't have all this stuff. So you had things called books and magazines and newsletters. I know, crazy
Right.
stuff. So Perry Reader I got a hold of his stuff. My mom loved garage sales. We go to garage sales. You could find books and magazines. You find some muscle magazines. So I got turned on to him later on, Arthur Jones, but Vince Gironda, Mr. Steak and Eggs, also known as Trainer of the Stars. And I read a lot of his information. And I know he had a lot of stuff in Iron Man, I think back in the day. I think it was called Iron Man magazine, I think.
Mhm.
So I seen how his eating was. And he did a cyclical eating of steak and eggs, and then he would break that, I think, on the weekend, sometimes after 5 or 6, 7 days, and he would do a carb refeed. So I did that when I was going to college, and it worked amazingly. I was very strong, but I was always that skinny kid. And that helped me gain strength tremendously. Of course, my coaches, my teachers, oh, you can't eat steak and eggs, that will kill you. And of course, I bought
Right.
into it and believed it. So I had that background, and I knew how well I felt. And again, I went back into that again when I graduated college. I went to work for the world's largest meat producing company. How fitting! And I was just myself. I wasn't, I didn't have a wife or anything, so
Right.
I had access to meat all the time to eat.
That's
So
awesome.
that's all I was eating. It was pretty much just meat, and I loved it. I'm just that was kind of my DNA. Of course, when I met my
Kind
future,
of everybody's DNA.
yeah, exactly. But I know that's controversial there. We're all herbivores, right? Um, so when I met my future wife, she was kind of anti-meat, and I kind of gravitated back to eating, just standard stuff, which was fine at that point. I was metabolically healthy. I didn't have injuries, and I was in my 20s. So, kind of went back into that. I mean, I still like meat and stuff. So that was something that I really knew was good for me. It worked well for me. Also, in about 2000, the year 2000, I would have been, early 30s. Um, Seemed like in my martial art classes, we had these giants that started coming in. And when you're rolling with somebody and you're 170 pounds and they're like 220, 230,
A little bit of work.
it is rough. I mean, brutal. And I'm talking about you got a class for 3 hours and you're on the ground rolling for a large portion of it. You do that several
Right.
times a week. So I really put on I wanted to bulk up, and I bulked up. I was eating roast all the time, but I was eating potatoes, pasta, and all that stuff. And I went from my normal 170, 180, all the way up to 200 and like nearly 230 pounds. And let me tell you this, and I was joking, it was a clean bulk. I mean, I was like at 4% body fat. No.
Right.
It was a
Right.
dirty bulk, but at that point, it was doing what I needed. And so I really wasn't concerned. So I was probably 20% body fat or so, but I was able to still box, and my ground game was good. But I was all young. I was not injured, and that was great. And let's move forward to 2009. I had the accident. So the workout stopped
Mm-hmm.
effectively. My metabolic health is cratering and crashing. So I'm dealing with this issue I have, and I'm trapped at a very unhealthy weight. And I was like, what am I going to do? And I did everything but doing the right things at that point while I was going through all this. So when the end of 2014 happened, I knew what I had to do. And my wife, my family thought I had lost my marbles. I mean, you're just eating meat? And I go, well, I'll eat a little bit of cheese too. You know, I eat some Swiss cheese. You've got to have your vegetables. And then they saw the amount of weight. When I went back to Dr. Lynn, when I went back to him,
Mm-hmm.
I was in the room. He walked in and he said, Mark? Yeah. He said, is that you? I said, yeah. He said, you weren't kidding about being able to drop some weight. And I had dropped over 60 pounds when he saw me the next time.
Right.
And I mean, I was getting, you know, I was looking a whole lot different. And of course, you see it in the face. I mean, my face was not swollen and inflamed. So
Mine was
again, yeah.
at 40 pounds over. Mine, I literally looked like I had a bowling ball on top of my head. It was ridiculous.
That's
Some people
exactly
say I
right.
still do, but you know, whatever.
you got a perfect head. I mean, look at that. I don't. I never mind. You don't. So, but yeah, and you know, kind of like with lifting weights or setting goals, when you start seeing success, it propagates itself. So when I got all that and seeing what carnivore did, I was just incredibly excited. And I was feeling so much better. And after I really was getting much better in early 2015, my wife and others were still saying, you got to have vegetables, got to have vegetables. So I relented to social norms, and I was still hyper carnivore, but I was still doing broccoli and, you know, different things like that. And although I was getting healthier in every other way,
Mm-hmm.
the autoimmune issues, rheumatoid arthritis, psoriasis, were getting worse and worse. And that's where I knew I'm going to have to do something about this. And when I would fast, I would do like a 2 or 3 day fast. My inflammation in my fingers and stuff, I could even move my fingers pretty good, would go away after 2 or 3 days. And then as soon as I would eat, 12 hours, 16 hours, within 24 hours, the inflammation, the pain was back. So, well, great. I'll just fast for the rest of my life and I'm cured. You know, so I was like, what is causing this? And I still never made the connection. At that point, I didn't know what a plant toxin was. I didn't know what lectin. I didn't know what oxalates were, gorderins. I didn't know what any of that stuff was. Again, living on a farm, we may have a cow that's been slaughtered, so it's not uncommon just to have a barbecue, grill everything out, and all we have is meat.
Right.
And I would notice I would break my fast sometimes, and when I would break it without any vegetables or bread or anything, that inflammation and pain and swelling never came back to my body. I still didn't know why that was.
Right.
And a book came out, The Plant Paradox, Dr. Stephen Gundry. Now, I don't agree with a lot of his stuff in the book, his conclusions on that. But that book taught me what a plant toxin was. Mm-hmm. And so that was that's the connection. That's why when I fast, the inflammation, the pain goes away. That's one reason, may not be the only reason. And then when I reintroduce food again, it comes back. So that led me on another journey of not only losing the weight, feeling better, but dealing with healing. And ultimately, I could be the most physically fit person, probably able to do any kind of strength stuff I wanted to do. But when you have autoimmune issues and you can't use your knees, you can't use your hands, it really isn't going to matter a whole lot until you get that addressed. Sure. So that led me to the next journey of trying to figure out how to deal with these autoimmune issues.
Which you no longer are dealing with, right?
I can even do the Adams Family.
Nice.
Yeah. And, that doesn't seem like much. And everybody's got a different thing. And why, if you have rheumatoid arthritis, is that huge? Well, I wasn't able to snap my fingers forever. One of my hobbies is combat pistol shooting, and I'm kind of in ground zero for that. We have Wilson's Combat, Nighthawk. We have all the major gun manufacturers right here. I'm friends with all those people and do a lot of shooting. I didn't say good, but anyway, I do a lot of shooting. And when you
If
do
you can get
shooting,
ammo, if you can get ammo these days, can you get ammo? Can you send me some, please?
absolutely, yes. We'll
I
trade it
would
for
love.
ribeyes. We'll trade it for ribeyes.
Yeah, there we go.
I can get you fixed up. There's a lot of things that you have to use on a gun to make it work, and especially if you're trying to do it with speed and accuracy. And your thumbs are critical in that, because one of the things you do is when you're holding the gun, you have to drop the mag, do this quick tactical reload. Well, I was getting to the point when I was shooting, my fingers and thumbs not working good enough, and I would actually have to take my other hand, press the button to drop the magazine out, and that's horrible. So when I couldn't shoot effectively anymore, that's when it really got serious, and it was just horrible. I mean,
that's a good point, right?
Yeah.
That's a good point. It's when the obstructions, the limitations, the negative aspects of our health affect the things we like.
We love.
Then we start looking at it. You know, we can have stomach issues, we can have back pain, we can have all these things in our life that we just think are normal because we're getting old, and we do nothing about it. It's when it affects, hey, you know, I can't bowl anymore. I like to go bowling every Thursday night. I can't bowl anymore without pain. I like to go shooting. I like to, I'll play darts on Friday, whatever it may be. When we can't do that anymore, that's when we go, wait a second, I need to do something.
I need to do something.
If we do something ahead of time, then not only will we prevent that from happening and prevent that loss of time from doing the things we want to do, but we also can do it longer and do it better when we are doing it.
That's absolutely right. I mean, that is
we have this thing. We wait till things go bad before we start looking. Like, just start doing something now, guys.
Yeah, I know, and it's just human nature. We do it on our cars. We do preventative maintenance on our cars, my tractors, my dozer, my house. But us, no, we don't do preventative maintenance. We wait till the front porch fell in. Now let's worry about putting some bracing out there. You know, we got a huge leak in the ceiling. Let's wait. And, we don't do that to our own bodies. It's a shame how much stuff we could stave off if we would just put a little bit of preventative maintenance on ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So at that point, when I was losing my ability to use my hands, my knees were swelling up all the time, I knew I had to get serious. I mean, I had to step it up to figure this out. The good Lord gave us a brain. He gave us knowledge, and we are in the information age. Now, that can be a double-edged sword. There's so much bad information out there. There's so much junk we have to filter through. But I started doing research. Okay, all these, what's the connections here? What can help autoimmune issues? And I had tried things in the past, nothing helped. I mean, it was just progressing very, very fast. And that's where I found some of these internet groups, some of the Facebook groups, some of the carnivore places that kind of specialize in autoimmune issues.
Right.
And that's what I went on. And had even went up. I didn't want to, as you know, it is difficult socially sometimes to be a full-on carnivore or a high percentage carnivore, and you'd hate to stick out like a sore thumb.
Sure. I kind of embrace it at this point.
Yeah, and I really don't care that much. I thought, at this point, I really care less. But at that point, I didn't want to be the one person. So I had went even as high as probably 85, 90% carnivore. I still was getting zero results from autoimmune issues.
So it wasn't until you went all the way that you started seeing stuff.
Sean Baker came on the scene at that time, and I'd been on the podcast with Lawrence Neal and other podcasts, and we were talking about it. And I said, I feel so much better. I could just do this. And Lawrence is kind of like, well, do it. And I think, I've done it before. Yeah, just do it. He said, Dr. Baker, he's going to have the Carnivore Challenge 2018. So I talked to my wife, and we do things as a team. And I let her know what I was planning on. And she, at that point, she said, you know what? Just do it. Just do it. So what shocked me, she said, I'm going to do it too. And I thought, "You're not going to do it." She says, "Yeah, I am. I'm going to go 100% carnivore or mostly carnivore. Yeah, this will last 2 days." But she's dealt with IBS-C for years. And she said, "I'm just going to see if it helps." So she had listened to the podcast. She'd seen the people I'd been talking to. So 1/1 of 2018, boom, there we go. Yeah, she went ahead, decided to go ahead and do this, and I thought this won't work for her, and amazing. She got results. IBS just cleared up, no problems. We've been on this journey at this level for almost 3 years now,
Wow.
and man, it's been amazing. Her health has just improved so much. No problems with the IBS.
Mhm.
She's only had like 2 flare-ups, and the 2 flare-ups is when she ate just a little bit of stuff that she shouldn't have. She had some family come up from Mexico, and they were doing some of the traditional, Mexican foods,
Right.
and just a small amount of plant toxins set her off. I've even accidentally got a little spice on some food. Even that small amount, the inflammation in my hands, I could feel within just hours. So it's been an amazing trip. Within weeks, that's where I was able to snap my fingers.
Right.
My psoriasis, I'd have horrible psoriasis all over my arms, back, the elbows, knees, gone. I take nothing for that anymore. Just been absolutely amazing.
Awesome.
Love it. Couldn't be happy.
What does your normal walk us through some routines that you have in your day? So now that you've gone through this whole progression of being unhealthy, being unfit, having all these injuries, using your nutrition to help heal your body and all of these things, how have you taken all of that and kind of built a routine, built a lifestyle around some of those things and developed habits that help you maintain and be consistent with doing things that keep you on track?
Yeah. One thing I do, the first thing I do is I do take some measurements, HRV measurements, first thing in the morning. I'll take a blood pressure reading. Yeah, I try to do it about every day. There's some programs I use that kind of keep track of your pulse pressure, your top versus your bottom. Not just so much the traditional blood pressure. Well Body is one of the things that track the HRV numbers from my Oura Ring, Apple Watch, and
you're the technology health guy. I think we lost him.
Look at the sun. Try to go out there and see what the early morning looks like. Kind of not directly stare at the sun. I don't mean that, but to let those rays get in there before you get anything from your, all the lights you get from your phone, from the house, and everything. So try to get out early in the morning, get that the first thing. That's just one of the routines I do when I wake up. Try to go through that before we let all the stress of everything else that comes in from your phone, your emails, your text, and all that. So
when do you work out?
Usually I do a split body workout. So generally I'll do an HIT upper body session on a Monday. That can vary. So that's going to be upper body, and usually 5 days, 6 days later, I'll do a lower body workout.
Okay.
And then we do martial arts. We do a lot of different martial arts stuff. I don't really consider that as much of a workout, but as far as just with the HIT, the high intensity training, generally I try to do a session every 5 to 7 days.
Okay.
Split between lower body, upper body.
Okay. So you're not working out as often as a lot of people say you need to.
No. I don't.
What happened to 2 hours a day every day?
No. I'm strongly in the heavy duty camp, the Mike Mincer camp. Mike was my hero. Burton Richardson, one of my martial arts instructors, introduced me to the Mike Mincer's concept in the early 90s. And I thought, okay, I'm already doing a lot of Arthur Jones stuff, which in the day was like 45 minutes a session, but you do that 2 to 3 times a day. Mike Mincer said that's way too much. And actually, Arthur Jones later on said that was too much too. If you, and this is the key thing, it's what people don't understand. If you have the intensity correct, 90% of the people that try HIT aren't successful is because they can't get the intensity. The intensity is not where anybody wants to push their body. It is just not. And to go to failure is not pleasant. And that's hard to do, especially if a person doesn't have a trainer. It's very hard to do, to push yourself in that direction. But that works well for me, works great for my schedule. But yeah, Mike Mincer is probably my biggest hero in that. Okay. Doug Holland's been somebody else that has been a huge, huge mentor to me as well.
Yeah. Okay. Do you have any, let's talk real quick about the mental aspect and the mindset. So what are some of the, outside of the image, right? The image you had of who you were and what you thought you were, what are some of the other challenges or struggles that you've had dealing with the change and maintaining things? Like, just what are some of the general things that you go through, whether challenges, struggles, or some of the things and techniques or routines you put in place to help deal with and maintain some positivity and effective mindset that's going to keep you going? Both
yeah, I think knowing where you've been and how you can, on your own, through the grace of God too, you can change your body. You can change your mindset. You can change so many things. Most people want to look at themselves as broken and they need somebody else to put themselves together. I understand you can need help, but ultimately it's you that have to make those decisions. You know, the saying about leading a horse to water, it's so true. I mean, I can help people. You can help people, but ultimately it's their decisions of what's going to happen to their future. But having gratitude, I think, is really important. And I think that's so important. I think being thankful for things. We just aren't thankful. I mean, there may be some things that I can't do that I could do 20 years ago. I get that. But don't focus on just what we maybe cannot do or cannot do as well as we could when we were 20 or 25, or something we could do before we had maybe a certain injury or whatever. Look at what we can do and look at improving as much as we can. And I think we get in that mindset, it's defeatism, when we just say, and then ultimately, if we keep buying into that, we go, you know what? What's the point? What's the point? And that's a very defeatist attitude that we don't want to ever buy into. We have to have that positivity. And when we go out, when you work out, when you eat well, when you have love and gratitude, you try to help people, that makes you feel so much better. I mean, when you give to others, it really is helping you as much as anybody.
Right. That's why I like doing these videos, because it's an opportunity for people to share their story, and it's edifying to the soul to have success and then share your story so that you can potentially help other people have success. There's an aspect of your story that's going to relate to somebody that they can go, oh man, I've been there. I get that. That makes sense. Let me try this. My story's the same way, but your story may not resonate with somebody else. My story may not resonate with somebody else. So that's why we got to keep putting that stuff out there. The effect of community is something that I'm more and more and more aware of, in how beneficial it is to be around people who are moving in the same direction. Unfortunately, in today's society, people are gravitating more, and I've heard this been discussed a lot more, people are gravitating more towards aligning themselves with a group of people who disagree about the same things versus agree and are trying to move forward. If people are trying to just rally the cause as opposed to try to move things forward, I like being in this space where we're trying to help people get better. I'm not trying to make a statement. I'm not trying to, the goal is, let's all get together and make each other better. And you cannot get a better community. You cannot get a better group of people in your life than people who are trying to get better. So if that's one message I want to get out,
I agree.
find other people who are moving in a positive direction, who are trying to get better, because if they're trying to get better, they're going to help you get better. If it's the people that aren't trying to get better that give you problems. It's the people that are already,
Absolutely.
that are in a bad place in life. It's the people that are not willing to look and open their minds and change and look at their lives and be honest with that self-image.
Mhm.
Where are you? They're the ones that are kind of grabbing at strings, trying to hold people back because they don't want to lose their circle. Well,
Yeah.
you can't wait for them. You got to do what's best for you.
Yes, 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 yes. And there's so much of that negativity. There's so much of that division. And like I said, people that are just out there trying to pull people together. And we don't have to agree on everything. And that's what I
Right.
think people think, well, if you don't agree with me 100%, you're wrong. And, my group, hey, we have a lot of carnivores on there. We have some that are hyper carnivore. We have some that are keto. And
Mm-hmm.
it's just like, okay, now if you do this, you're just absolutely wrong. We've got people that do high intensity training. We have people that do CrossFit like you do. We have people that do Pilates, and everybody in there can add to everybody else.
Right.
And I think so many people, we put these walls up. It's only this way and no other way. So, I mean, it's like we don't have to do that. We all can grow from everybody. I mean,
Right.
no one person has all the truth, or no one group has all the truth in and of themselves.
That's the sticky thing, right? People get knowledge and then they think that's the only knowledge out there because it worked for this scenario, whatever. That's all there is. What we got to understand is there's more knowledge out there. And just because you know something is working for you, just because you know something doesn't mean other people don't know things. You never
That's
stop learning.
right.
There's always going to be more information. And it's the amount of information that's out there is what enables us to move forward if we're trying to move forward. If we just want to know
That's the thing.
things and then say we know things so that people think we know things, that's not
Yeah.
helping anything. That's not helping you as a person. You're going to
No.
change. Your body's going to change. What works for you today isn't going to work for you now. So if you close your mind to other information, you're not going to be able to change with your body and improve as you get better. Progress is going to
Yes.
stop. And when progress
Yes.
stops, that's when death and decrepitude steps in, right? Anything that's not growing is
Absolutely.
dying. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. One of my instructors, very well known, Dan Asanto, Guru Dan has always said, he said, every 5 to 10 years, you need to reassess your goals. He says, and he's 80, in his early 80s now, 83, 84. I remember this as a seminar, and he was probably in his 50s then. He said, it's very unlikely that when I'm in my late 70s or early 80s that I'm going to be doing capoeira. He said, it's just, I said, I may do some parts of it, but I said, I need to be realistic with myself and focus on the things that I can do. And I think that's so important. There may be some skill sets that we may not be as apt to do when we're in our, later years. But again, have that positivity of knowing what you can do, focus on what you can do, and assess your goals. Your goals will change. And I think that's so important that we do that and stay around people that are positive, that are goal oriented and moving in the direction that we want to move in. If you're around negative people, you're around people that overspend. I mean, it's been proven over and over,
right.
You're going to overspend. If you're around people that overeat and eat, probably going to be right there in that. It's that groupthink mentality, and we need to be around people that have similar goals as we do.
Yeah,
It's not always possible, but you try.
Okay, so let's start tailing off a little bit. What are some of the things that words of advice that you would give to guys who are where we've been, right? They're in their late 30s, early 40s. They're realizing they're not 20 anymore. They're realizing things are not as good as I thought they were. I need to do something. What are some words of advice you would give them to say, here's where you need to be, what you need to do, whatever?
Well, I think the one thing is being honest with ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Not being maybe honest in my mind with myself. I wouldn't have done a heave ho on stuff that was that heavy. And that's you've got to be honest to know where your limitations are. And I think that's where we get into trouble. when you try to do things that you know maybe are not wise, that's a problem. But we need to focus on the long term. Don't sacrifice your health for the short term.
Right.
Don't go out there because your buddy just did a PR on something. You know what? I'm going to outdo him just because I want to outdo him. First of all, it's got a little shallow anyway, right? I mean, that's okay. We're teenagers. We're in the gym. That's okay. But that's a good way to get an injury. And I've seen it over and over and over.
We've
And
all
I
been
ask
there.
my clients, I don't know if they always are honest with me, but I ask my clients, especially if they're family members or friends that I train, don't share your numbers. Please don't. Because I've had people that, they will do something just because a friend or family member did this. So I think we have to look at ourselves. My goal should not be what Bronson could do. My goal should be what somebody else could do. Definitely not what Doug Holland does. So, I need that may be a goal, but I need to work on myself. I need to make myself improve. So I think that's where it is. The other thing I'd really tell them, it's not one dimensional. It's not just about the eating. It's not just about the workout. It's not just about the mindset. You can have a great mindset, and if you don't do the eating right, you don't do the workout right, it doesn't really make any difference. Although you may have it all up here. That's like an armchair martial artist, an armchair coach, an armchair power lifter. You can have it all up here, but that's just one part of it. But you can't have it all in the physical and not have the mental right, or the spiritual, emotional. It's all, we're a complete package. Right. And we need to make sure we realize it. I think when we get older, we mature, and we kind of do see there's more to it than just a one-dimensional aspect to any of our training, our eating. It's more encompassing. And I think another thing that will put you more at peace, don't try too hard to change a family member or friend into getting into health. Yeah. That can actually put up a wall, and it can push away. So sometimes by you leading by example will help them more than you know.
That's a great point. You have to understand that your journey is different than everyone else's. And no matter how excited you may be as a person who's realizing these things about themselves, I need to change this, I need to change that, I need to do this better, I need to build a routine that's going to help me lose this weight or fix this health problem or have more energy or be more positive, whatever it may be, all those things. We get excited when we realize, hey, we're going to get better. And then we start doing stuff, and it gets us excited more because it's working, and we want to go and go and go and go, right? The problem is, how long did it take you to get to that point? I'm 45 years old. It's been 45 years. I've been depressed. I've been out of shape. My spouse is also 45 years old. She hasn't gone through the same things I've had to. She may be in a different point in her life where she's not ready to hear this.
No.
She's not looking. You were looking. You got to a point and you opened your eyes and said, I need to find something. She's still got her head down going forward, and she hasn't looked up to say, hey, maybe I need to change something too. You cannot, guys, you cannot get her to look up and start looking. You just have to do you. If she likes what she sees with you, she may poke her head up a little bit and go, hey, what's going on here? And then you have an opportunity to maybe say something, maybe talk to her, but you have to wait for them to initiate. Don't push it. That will not be good. That is
so true. That will make your marriages happier. You let them. And my wife went on this health journey. She saw what was going on with me. She thought it was crazy, and then she's seen it, and she wanted to give it a try. Now, this is not my personal experience, so I don't want anybody to think this at all. But I have seen this time and time again. So just be aware of this. It's not uncommon for me to have somebody I'm training, coaching, for them to get really great results, and their spouse or a family member or a friend kind of tries to sabotage them. And I was at a function one time, and one of my clients and I were both there, and he had just done amazing. And he was a huge sugar addict. His wife, who does not want to address her health issues, went in front of everybody and stuck a piece of dessert right up to his lips and going, oh, you want this? This is so good. Oh, can you smell it? It just made me so infuriated. And I could just see him. And, I said, that's just like an alcoholic and going,
Absolutely.
man, this is, here, take a drink. This
Absolutely.
is so good.
Yep.
I was furious. And I've seen that happen through the years. So be aware that happens, and it's not something you did. It's something that they don't want to deal with.
Right.
And it's part of projection and denial. So that does happen. And unfortunately, it does happen with spouses, and it happens with friends and family.
And as the person who's trying to change and get better and improve their life, quality of life and freedom, you have to understand where they're at, and you have to, if in that circumstance you end up taking a bite of cake, you take a bite of cake. Don't sweat it. It's not something that you made a choice to. It's not something that it's something that you're doing more as a peacemaker. I guess that would be the right word, right? You're not trying to make a huge scene. You're not going to have a fight with your spouse in a public circumstance. You do that. Talk to them later. Say, look, please don't do that. I understand where you're at. I'm not trying to force you to do anything, but don't force me to do something that I'm not trying to do. I'm not trying to make you do anything. Please don't try to make me do anything. So
and I've even seen it.
It can be tough.
Yeah, and I've even seen this. I know you have too. I've even seen it where people are working out, and they'll have family members tell them, well, that's going to kill you. That's going to, this and that. And,
you can get hurt. You can get hurt working out. Well, yes. And I've had people tell me that. I get that a lot with CrossFit because there's been some systematically bad messaging from competitors of CrossFit over the years that has really worked, actually, unfortunately. The message of CrossFit being unsafe. And I just look at people and I say, look, is it more unsafe to potentially hurt myself trying to get better and all of the other benefits that get from that I get from that process? Or is it more unsafe for me to not do anything and completely break down my body, completely destroy my metabolic health, completely destroy my self-esteem, add on depression, and fall apart? I would rather have some kind of injury, minor or major, doing something to get better than die on the couch. That's just how it is. So,
but you get that pushback from anything that you do. It's usually people that are just not wanting to address their own issues.
Right. Okay, cool. That's a great piece of advice. In all those different scenarios, what we're really talking about is know what your goals are and stick to your goals. Don't let the outside influences that are trying to hold you back work. And the best way you can do that is by building that community we talked about earlier and finding other people that are moving in the same direction, because that is where the opposing messages are going to happen, right? If I'm working with and I'm moving forward with other people who are going to push me forward, that's going to help me overcome all the other people trying to pull me back.
That's right. Yeah.
Awesome. And so, in a great community for you to find people like that is in Mark's Facebook group.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Mark, you've got a Facebook group. Tell us a little bit about your Facebook group, and then anything else that you want to share, if you have where people can find you, anything like that, and then we'll end this.
Yeah, it's Mark's Health and Nutritional Group. It's on Facebook there. I wanted to, I can't help everybody. Bronson can't help everybody. And there's a lot of great groups out there. I mean, there's great groups. Phil Escott's got a great group, Zero Carb Doc. There's a lot of great places out there. And then there's some that are not so great. And I had been in some of those not so great ones. And when I went on my carnivore journey, there was one group in particular, I won't name by name, and they were very unhelpful. I mean, they were anti-workout. They were anti-whatever. And it was just like, I'm a carnivore. I've done this longer than you have. You're an idiot. You bow down to me. And it was like, thou shalt do this, thou shalt do that. It's crazy. And I was on a podcast, and it was actually an older podcast where I even went full carnivore, and it was posted. Oh my goodness, I got all this heat and hate from something I said in that. And it was just crazy. So I didn't want that negativity. I mean, I would have left carnivore. Most people would have left had I not been in so much pain just from certain people in it that were so negative, so hateful, so dogmatic. So I wanted a group that would not be overly dogmatic. I mean, hey, we're not going to endorse vegan principles. If you're a vegan, you want to come there, that's great. But if you're coming there to eat, learn how to eat better, learn how to eat healthy, even if you're not keto, even if you're not carnivore, that's there. And also want to have something on proper working out. There's so much stuff you see. I mean, social media is a double-edged sword. I hate seeing what is called exercise by these, good-looking fitness models that really don't have a clue. But they've got, 1 million followers because of, well, a lot of shallow
we
stuff,
know why.
shall we say.
we know why
why.
they got followers.
Yeah, exactly. And just because they have a lot of followers, they're not teaching effective workouts. They're trying to sell something more and more. And so it's kind of good, that we can get there and we kind of go over stuff that's not going to be on social media. Proper exercise isn't something that is exciting for a lot of people to see on social media, especially if you look like me and Bronson. We're not Kim Kardashian, sorry. I'm sorry, we're just not there. But it's good to see people that actually do work out, people that are in this for long-term health. So I wish we would have a community. And one thing I do not allow, I'm pretty libertarian in my views on stuff. One thing I will not allow, I don't allow people to get on there and be hateful. I don't allow people to be on there to bully, and they're gone. So it's kind of a place where people can go share ideas and hopefully learn something. And we've got some great people. Bronson, he's there. He helps people. We've got so many good people on there. I don't even want to start naming everybody. Jerry is on there for his body weight stuff. You just got so many good people on there that will help out. Kelly Hogan Williams is on there. There's just so many good people there that will try to help out. So that's just one of the things we try to do. And that it's all free. We're not trying to sell anything. I let people sell stuff on there. There's a lot of good merchandise go up there, but it's not like you got to join up. You got to do this. But Bronson can get his message out. Everybody can get their messages out, and that's what we want is to help.
Yeah. So if you are a guy watching this, if you're a lady watching this, it doesn't matter. If you're anybody watching this who's looking for a place to get started and looking for where can I go to find people who are interested in health and sharing information about health without bias, without dogmatic principles, and just helping people find what's going to work for them wherever they are, Mark's group is a great place to start.
Thank you.
A lot of good beginning information.
We tried. I appreciate all your help. You've been a big part of that. We really appreciate you.
Yeah, it's fun. Again, it's fun associating with people who are trying to help people.
Yes.
Because it builds on itself. So that's awesome.
I had somebody message me and goes, "Do you all charge for this?" I go, "No, we do not charge." I said, "Now there's people that if you want to join their programs, if you want to do that, that's fine." And I said, "That's perfectly fine." But I said, "No, we're just there to help people, and we may guide you into something that can change your life." And so that's what we try to do.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, man. Appreciate your time. I will package this all up and let you know when it's out. But always keep in touch, and
thank you.
We'll talk to you soon. All right.
Love your stuff and appreciate all that you do for so many people. Really love it.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, brother. Bye.